The previous episode mentioned thousands of zombies stampeding towards them. Doc and 10K, the unlucky duo, intended to climb a cliff to escape but were instead caught by the tribe and hung from a tree. If the zombies arrived, they would be the first to die. 10K was desperately trying to break free from the ropes, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Doc, who had taken hallucinogenic pain medication, was completely detached from the reality of their dire situation.
What is wrong with you?
Not a thing, man. In fact, I'm more at peace now than before the whole world turned foobar.
I'm getting dizzy. We're gonna need to try to get free before I black out.
I am already free. This reality is just a cage of our perception, man.
Doc, you're scaring me.
It's okay, kid. I'm just creating my own reality here.
Just then, a zombie started approaching them. The zombie was getting closer and closer, and 10K, frantic like an ant on a hot pan, didn't want to die in such a frustrating manner.
This is not how I want to die.
It is not our time to die.
10K tried to muster all his strength for a final fight, but prolonged hanging caused him to slowly lose consciousness due to blood rushing to his head. Doc just glanced at the zombie and then closed his eyes, immersing himself in his own mental world. Then, something unbelievable happened. Suddenly, Doc snapped out of his daze, vividly remembering what had just occurred.
Dad, where's the zombie?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think I killed it.
10K thought it all sounded absurd, but surviving was all that mattered. Before 10K could catch his breath, another zombie approached. He urged Doc to try his mental trick again. Doc closed his eyes, attempting to enter his mental world, but it seemed the effect of the drug had worn off. 10K felt hopeless, but luckily, there was a kitchen knife on the ground. He stretched his hand towards it. Doc loudly shouted to attract the zombie and buy some time, and surprisingly, the zombie turned towards him. Their savior was Ayala, who suspected her brother wouldn't let them go easily, so she had followed them. Thankfully, Ayala arrived just in time. After being released, Ayala spoke gravely, "I need your help. Our people here are only a part of the tribe. The rest are with my father at the amusement park. My father is stubborn and set in his ways. With the zombie horde approaching, he definitely won't listen to me. You've seen the size of the zombie horde. Maybe you can convince him." 10K immediately agreed, and they headed towards the amusement park. From a distance, they could already see the devastating zombies. The tall building looked like a small boat in a storm. Meanwhile, at the North Pole Station, Citizen Z is hiding behind a box, chalking off every zombie he kills. Damn. Out of bullets, 3 years before the apocalypse, Citizen Z had never fought zombies in the Arctic. He survived this period thanks to this handgun, but now there's still one last zombie left. Citizen Z realized that hiding wasn't a solution anymore. It was better to confront the zombies and eliminate them for good. Although out of bullets, there was a heavy weapon in the box, something powerful enough to turn the remaining zombie into mincemeat. 3 minutes later, Citizen Z was cautiously searching the base. Unexpectedly, he encountered the zombie right around the corner before he could even get his weapon out. Citizen Z ran with all his might, managing to lose the zombie temporarily after turning a corner. What he pulled out of the weapon bag turned out to be an anti-tank rocket launcher. On the other hand, Addie was fixing the radio in the amusement park, and just as she finished it, the sound of Citizen Z's call came through and it was very urgent.
Citizen Z, go for Carver.
Addie, hey. No, listen, battery's low, can't talk long. I got a favor to ask.
Citizen Z thought operating a rocket launcher would be simple, like in the movies, but he had no idea how to start it. With no other option, he attempted to call X Squad for help.
Don't open it yet. Then you need to arm it by extending the inner aluminum tube. Now, do you see the locking ring on the front and the back of the tube? Turn those opposite ways.
Locked and loaded. How do I fire this thing?
Fold up the sight. Slide back the trigger guard till it locks. With the tube on your shoulder, use the sight to aim and pull the trigger.
By then, the zombie had found him. Citizen Z pulled the trigger, But nothing happened. Roberta quickly deduced that the battery was probably too cold. She directed Citizen Z to open the bottom of the launcher, remove the battery, and find a way to warm it up. Citizen Z figured the warmest place in this cold weather was in his pants.
Citizen Z! Citizen Z!
Downstairs, Danny was reinforcing the defenses, waiting for the arrival of the zombie horde. That's when Ayala arrived with 10K and Doc. Ayala advised her father to take his men and retreat to the mountains. The defenses here were too weak to withstand them.
We've withstood many of these storms before. Brother, you got a 10.0 zombie quake headed your way.
Dad, you should listen to them.
Quick, let's go inside.
Upon reaching the upper floor, Doc and 10K were surprised to see Addie.
Doc, 10K, you guys!
Oh, thank God for small favors. Get over here. You made it.
Right on.
While they were celebrating the reunion, Citizen Z was incredibly tense. He zigzagged through the base, evading zombies, hoping to buy more time to warm the battery, but when he took it out...
Hey, Warren, how hot this battery gotta be?
As hot as you can get it.
Not hot enough.
Just as Citizen Z got the launcher ready, the zombie caught up. With no other choice, he ran, holding his crotch. Unfortunately, he tripped, despite the pain. This was no time for complaints. Trapped in the factory with nowhere to go, Citizen Z decided to stop running. He jumped onto a table, ready for a final stand. The battery was warm enough. Citizen Z quickly reassembled it and pulled out the inner tube, unfolded the sight, and turned it on. Just then, the zombie burst in. It was a do-or-die moment. A single mistake could be his end. Roberta's radio has also picked up the sound of an explosion, and it sounds like it's a proximity detonation. Could Citizen Z have perished? The hall fell into silence.
Zombie down. Repeat, zombie down.
In this desperate, apocalyptic world, even a small victory could greatly inspire people. With the situation resolved, 10K and the others regrouped. Roberta decided to retreat immediately. The approaching zombie horde was no joke, and the building wouldn't hold. Then, Citizen Z's voice came through the radio.
The first of the fast zombies should be reaching you any minute.
Guys? Hey, guys?
Everything we've worked for, it's over. Everyone, it's time for us to go.
In the midst of the emergency, everyone packed their belongings as quickly as possible, preparing to follow Ayala to the cliffs for shelter. Only Danny refused to leave. Danny knew staying meant certain death, but this place, which he had built with his wife, held too many memories. Even if it meant death, he wanted to stay. Danny urged his daughter to leave quickly, insisting that this was his choice. After a heartfelt goodbye, the group hurriedly got into the cars and drove away. About 5 kilometers out, Ayala looked back towards the amusement park, only to see the terrifying zombie horde arriving. Danny took out his pistol and prepared for the incoming zombies, but he still underestimated the havoc. The whole building was destroyed in a flash.
Let's go.
The crisis was far from over, as the massive horde of zombies continued to sweep through the area. 10 minutes later, Ayala and the others reached the cliff.
It's gone! Demolished by zombies!
The casino? Father?
You wouldn't leave.
Stubborn till the end.
Just like you!
X-Squad also arrived there. Red Hawk, affected by his father's death, had a change of heart and even apologized to Doc and 10K. Just then, a zombie fell from the cliff. Everyone was shocked. How had the zombies climbed up there? Murphy sensed that the cliff was no longer safe. In less than half an hour, the zombie horde would overrun it. Their priority was to devise a strategy quickly, or else they would all perish. As Roberta was at a loss, Doc looked towards the sacred wall. He was drawn to a mural depicting ancestors using cliffs to hunt buffalo and wondered if the same principle could work against the zombies. They sprang into action immediately. Some began drumming to attract the zombies. Red Hawk and X Squad rode motorcycles along the cliff edge, setting ablaze a towering fire. The flames were high enough not only to attract the zombies but also to annihilate them. After completing all the preparations, they waited for the horde's arrival. About 10 minutes later, the zombies appeared. As expected, the zombies charged towards the fiery chasm.
I have to save him!
Murphy, no!
Turn around!
What is he doing?
Try to say this one.
Turn around!
Murphy felt a pang of sadness. To him, the zombies were more like his people than a threat. It seemed as if they sensed Murphy's call. The zombie horde surprisingly began to change direction. Instead of rushing into the fire, they ran towards another cliff. Countless zombies plunged into the canyon in a spectacular scene. And still, more zombies were approaching, making it seem as if all of America's zombies were converging there. One thing was certain, their journey to California would now face far fewer zombies.